I'm just going to lose it.
Record has been pressed and we are recording right now. It says so in the upper left-hand corner.
Okay, good.
Fantastic.
All right. Shall we give it another go?
Yes.
All
For
right,
real this time.
For real this time.
Once more with feeling.
Here you go. Like a bump on a log, a story of intense gastrointestinal pain in the untouched countryside of post-industrial Antarctica. Dedicated to the memory of a bird's wing painted on the fabric of our lives and to all CPAs who have given their lives for the art of macrame. To be played au flambe. The players: Professor Fruit Salad, played by Scott Lean, an expert in paleomicrobiology with a penchant for brightly colored hats, to be portrayed by a mustachioed individual via conference call on a Windows PC with a broken screen that only displays in green. Quimby, played by Chris Rodriguez, a former investment banker with short-term memory, loss-turned explorer, to be portrayed as if one were an owl and all other players voles. Acetone, played by Beck, a haberdasher undercover as a fry cook, to be portrayed by Fail Glacier. Existential Dread, a purveyor of Italian tile flooring and nightmares, to be portrayed with unearned confidence and accompanied by ineffectual gestures. Devices: an orange bucket of concrete, raspberry jam with pips, a child's leather glove, 14 full or partial sets of hardbound encyclopedias with the volumes referencing J removed, 30 centimeters cubic block of marzipan. False marzipan is acceptable. A meat grinder, industrial. A jar of uncut screams. Setting: a state-of-the-art research center to be depicted by a trapezoidal cage made of chicken wire no less than 3 meters in any direction, with uncomfortably low doorways measuring 1.2 meters in height, erected in a lounge with original 1960s decor bought from a bank foreclosure auction. Use mist to excess as required. Through the mist, the startup sound of a computer is heard. There is a flicker of light, and the room is flooded with a green hue as the image comes into focus. The sound of a connection is being established. There are crackles and pops, but soon a face appears, larger than life.
The connection is made, but no connection made, I fear. Where are thee, my scrappy band of misfits, my last line of defense at the farthest reaches of the earth?
A great sound of shuffling as Quimby enters, trying to carry several encyclopedia and the bucket of cement. He is out of breath, and with a deafening thud, places the books on a shelf and the cement on the floor, ever so careful to spill none. Is it that time? Quimby searches for a watch or clock and finds none. The meeting would be at 9. Alas, it is 9 and I am painted a fool by my own brush. Say, Professor, though the distance be far and time be dear, canst thou hear me through the ether?
Speak clearly, Mr. Quimby, or some shall take you for a fool, if any would take you.
Acetone rushes in, carrying more encyclopedia, and places them next to the cube of marzipan.
None would take Quimby, even if it were king's ransom were up for offer. Say, sir, do you recognize it as I, Acetone, whom you call Alice, though 'twas not the name I was born into this world?
Indeed, you are who you say you are, and I would strike any who would say different. But are we not missing a member of our merry group, of our solemn band?
Acetone is preoccupied with the marzipan and considers the shapes which it could become. If real marzipan is used, Acetone will begin eating it into a sculpture. All others shrug and look about in confusion. If I may venture a guess at your inquiry, do you refer to that which overwhelms and always hangs over our heads and fills our minds even into the darkest of night, robbing us of our sleep? Existential Dread enters with a pot of jam.
Did I hear the call of my name? Would you be so lonely in the night without the existential dread that keeps your company into the witching hour? Without me, what would you be but ineffectual rodents on a spinning wheel? But I am not here for your little game of fools. I have much larger game to hunt.
The sound crackles as fruit salad passes in and out of digital existence on the screen.
Now is the time for action. We must all be of one mind. Even come death, we must vow upon this hallowed ground.
Shouting.
The connection is lost. What has become of our captain, our rock?
Fools! Your lies will be your undoing, for even as I could not be heard, all you whispered in the cover of static was plain to my ear. Assemble, you rogues, you soldiers of fortune, and let me set before you the task that will chill your hearts and turn your bones to jelly.
All of the players look at each other and choose subconsciously to ignore the video call. In this desert of ice, were our blood not already thick as mud, I'd call him a fool for his outburst.
Jelly I know not, only jam and raspberry. Quick, have a spoonful. Fetch me that glove, I would fill it.
For what reason would you do this? For what reason do we have a glove so small when our appendages are those of adults? Wistfully thumbing through an encyclopedia.
I was a child once. I remember it well. It was some 15 to 100 years past. Hard to recall as the days last months, and the nights just as long.
Acetone puts down the book and returns to shaping the marzipan. Quimby gesturing towards the bucket. All differences aside, has it not set yet?
Does the state of it vex you that you should not know how it now stands? Much the same you shall not know how you stand in this collective. You should have kept better watch of it.
Dread stands and, taking the bucket, makes off with it into the expanse, exiting the cage through the uncomfortably small door, and entrusts the bucket to a member of the audience. To audience member.
Under no duress should you relinquish this. It is now in your possession, and to us it is no more. As if it never were, and all memory of it gone.
Dread returns to the cage through the uncomfortably small door. All members peer at the audience member who has the bucket until said audience member becomes physically uncomfortable, to the point where they break out in a sweat or start rubbing their hands together nervously. The sound of the video conference crackles, and Fruit Salad speaks in a booming voice.
Would you so wound me as to mute me during my hour of need?
What is this hour in which you need so much as help from those as small as us? Have we not already sent in reports 1,000 times? Will you never be satisfied, or does your love for us wane like the moon when we are not near? Quimby pauses for audience reaction. If the reaction is not satisfactory, Quimby should display their crossness with the audience to an appropriate level, but not exceeding grunts of disapproval. At this point, the audience member entrusted with the bucket should have begun to edge towards the door in efforts to escape.
Shall I report on this sad affair? For I've much to say to any who would have ears to hear. Was not a fortnight ago that I watched these very fools, these merrymakers, these bastards, among those who would call themselves human, take such gentle pleasure in the complete destruction of our very livelihood. We have no more leg to stand on than we have provisions for the winter.
What has become of my family, my children, my kin? Were we not one? Was our love not all-encompassing as the waves? Did the waves not crash upon the rocks, and the gulls not call cuckoo with fervor that drove us mad?
All look in shock at Dread. Quimby, remembering themselves, bring the glove. Momentarily it was forgotten. Here is the glove, fit for a child, yet filled with hopes, and hopefully soon with jam. Quimby awaits a response and receives none. Takes the jam jar and smashes it with an encyclopedia. Truth be told, I do not know why I did that, but just the same, I shall never regret this action. For on this day or night, I am free, and none shall ensnare me again.
This lone volume, now full of jam, contains that which all the rest never could.
Should I consider this most recent exercise little more or less than a complete calamity? What happens here is not understandable by man nor by beast. But in my heart I know our goal to be true, though our captain not be wise.
Imploring with embarrassing passion.
Speak not as such, for you, our dear professor, are our rock, the most firm hold we have in this cursed plain.
These vast fields frozen in time cry for your justice. When will you return to us mere mortals? I have transcended and now exist on a higher plane.
Quimby is now checking the connection settings.
Look not into the heart of the beast, Quimby, as it lies. Does my eyes, filled with malice and so much applesauce.
I doubted his word, but alas, he is not false.
Where is the villain? I forget myself. Our captain, our professor.
Where even the devils and demons fear to tread, where the hungry earth waits to swallow all life and return to the surface the cursed souls crying out in ecstatic pain, where all kinds of horrors creep in the dank, dim sauna of night, and only the forsaken vipers born of her swollen, putrid nest can find solace.
The screen flickers and crackles. The professor continues to speak without sound. All stare in awe with grotesque fascination as the screen slowly goes dim. Delivering dialogue as the computer is fed into the meat grinder.
I envy him not, nor should you. For while we may be marooned here on this hulking drift, we are blessed to be far from that place.
Truly. But where is this cursed place that holds our captain captive?
Florida. He pauses and sighs, then, grasping the remains of the marzipan, solemnly presses into the floor.
None other than that.
With collective despondency and despair, Dred lights a candle in remembrance of the professor, and the lights progressively dim while Isotone lets loose the jar of uncut screams. The players remain on stage, giving the audience no notification that the play has ended, leaving them to fidget uncomfortably until some brave audience member reckons to quietly exit, only to be berated by the ushers in a most condescending fashion. At this point, there is no return to normalcy. Only by a miraculous event will this play ever be concluded. Repeat.